Guys doing? What are you waiting on?
We're live.
Oh. First of all, before we even get started tonight, Sarah, good news about Sharam. He's in our prayers, as are all of you guys. So we'll just keep us in the loop as best you can, okay? But don't go out of your way. Just keep us in the loop if you can. All right, good. Thank you for that. All right, guys, here we are tonight, March 4th, a Monday. Town Hall. We're having another one of our town commissioner meetings. In the room are four of the commissioners. Sarah is with us online tonight. Also, town staff is here with Wade and Niles. Town attorney Jay Gullo is joining us from some parts unknown. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he shall remain undisclosed. Okay. Mm-hmm. Sorry, Jay, right off the bat. Okay, very good, guys. Thank you for everybody for being here tonight. Jeff, if you don't mind, can you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Jim.
All right, thank you, Jeff. Appreciate that. So tonight, I know we've got a sign-up sheet out there, but we have specific items that are going to be on the agenda that we'll also be talking about. So if you have public comment about something that is going to be, that's not on the agenda, then you can comment during the public comment part. But if you want to talk about stuff that's on the agenda, and I see we've got 6 different names on here, then we'll hit you up during the specific part of the meeting that you want to be a part of. I'm guessing most of it is about the chicken ordinance, further discussion, and then we've got a couple other people on here too. So we will get with you very soon. And I know we probably have bedtimes working on back there, so we'll keep it moving.
That would be great.
My pleasure. Good deal. All right, so thank you for that, everybody, for being here tonight. As always, we've got plenty of stuff to do. We always lead off with the commissioners' announcements and committee reports. Jeff, I'm going to start with you tonight.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Jim. First, I just want to say, Commissioners Paxima and Sharam, we wish you all the best, and good luck with everything coming up for you. Also want to be the first to recognize and thank Preston's team for the beautiful white lights along Fisher Avenue. All the feedback that I've got has been very, very positive and very welcoming. So thank you for that. The Upper Montgomery County Volunteer Fire Station will host its first annual Bunny Breakfast on Saturday, March the 30th from 7:30 a.m. until 11:30. That's at Station 14 over there in Poolesville. Of course, the Poolesville basketball team won their first playoff game, and they have their next playoff game, which is tomorrow, at the Poolesville High School gym. Yes, the gym is still available, although hopefully not for very long. Well, until the seniors win, of course. The Poolesville seniors have quite a number of things going on. I just mentioned quickly a couple of things so we don't take up too much time. On March the 7th, which is coming up, Poolesville Black Communities Historical Impact, and all these items are on the Poolesville seniors.org website. There's bingo, Shamrock Shenanigans, that's on the 12th. The Seneca Creek Hike, and probably John is involved with that. That's also movie nights coming up on March the 15th. Historic Ag Reserve Properties is on the 21st of March. And line dancing with Ashley Kelch at Spear Hall, that's behind the Presbyterian Church, is on March the 22nd. So all of those very useful activities are on the poolesvilleseniors.org website. Also want to mention that tax aid at the Maggie Nightingale Library, that's in Poolesville, is going to be, I think it's already available. So you can contact, the AARP Foundation is available free to taxpayers of any age with low and moderate income. They offer special attention to those 60 and older, and the tax aid is offered in cooperation with the Internal Revenue Service. Appointment times are available on Fridays between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. And you can call 240-777-2577 to make an appointment. And last part of my announcement, I would be remiss if I did not mention today's Montgomery County Council vote, but I'm going to leave that in the hands of Commissioner Ed Reed and Commissioner Jim Brown to give you the details on that. That's my announcements. Do you want me to go into Parks?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
So now switching gears, the Parks report. Of course, I already noted the beautiful white lights along Fisher Avenue. Thanks again to Preston and his team. Well, also, the electric sign out in the corner here is
So
gone.
so the previous sign has been removed. We're in the process of working out exactly what's going to be its replacement.
And a new one plus a new location.
Yes,
Okay, cool.
on this side of the street.
Yeah, because that would be required to be moved anyway due to the
Due to the work next door,
to the
yeah.
work next door. Also, I want to make a mention about the upcoming Parks Board agenda. So there's a stop sign policy, which was drafted by the town staff. And so the request for stop signs is going to move into a more, I would say, formal process. Residents may submit a request for a stop sign that will be reviewed by the town, and the town will make a notice to the adjoining and abutting neighbors in the impacted area for comment on the proposal to add a stop sign. The Parks and Streets Board will hold a public meeting to hear residents' questions and concerns. Before a stop, no, this is a standard that's being placed on stop sign placement. Before a stop sign can be placed, the town will review the requested street, including a speed study, which I know we've done sometime before, regarding speed humps and whatnot, to determine if a stop sign is necessary. And this part I particularly like. The review will look at the following factors based on guidelines from the Mutual Uniform Traffic Control Devices, otherwise known as MUTCD. The next Parks Board meeting will be on April 3rd, 2024, at 7 p.m. right here. Thank you.
Very good, Jeff. Thanks for that. Appreciate that. Continued good work on the Parks Board. Martin, do you have an update for us from the Planning Commission?
I do not. We met sometime before the last meeting, so you got my big update then.
Yep.
Nothing has happened since then. I think at some point, maybe during the town manager report, we're going to talk about the comprehensive plan and anybody's feedback that you guys may have and the direction we need to take on that. As far as announcements, I guess we were all at the Lorianne Sales thing last Wednesday. Hillary Schwab and I judged the Historic Medley District photography contest, and that exhibit opens, I guess, as Maureen let us know, the 10th of this month. I think, wasn't one of your pictures in there? No?
I had a few.
Yeah, okay.
I had like 9.
Yeah, I think you
Wow.
ended up winning, didn't you?
I don't know.
Oh,
Uh-oh, maybe you found out tonight.
maybe not.
So,
Spoiler alert.
so as soon as I got at least honorable mention.
I cannot comment. I thought everybody had been notified.
He's closing the can of worms.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, those are my announcements.
Great. Okay, thank you for that, Martin. Appreciate it. Ed, do you want to take us from Sustainable Poolesville and anything you want to do on fair access?
Sure. All right, so with Sustainable Poolesville, we had a fantastic meeting at our last meeting. We did a training. Mike Huntingake from the Sustainable Maryland, he came over. The whole meeting was really spent around this training for the certification. So we're up to renew our certification. So we're currently at that bronze level. Our goal is to go to the silver level, which is a new level. What was really great is to listen to how Mike shared how Poolesville is actually an example the state uses for other municipalities who are in pursuit of their sustainability goals. And so as we went through, looked at the packet that was submitted last time, we went through to look at, okay, what have we done? What are we continuing to do? Then we had some really great ideas. I'll share one of them with you. It might have even been Soledad, who's in the audience, her idea, where we looked at creating just a map of all the different free libraries all throughout the Poolesville community, because that counts towards your points to going for that sustainable award that we're looking for. So at our next meeting, we're going to go back over the packet, review all the things that we're continuing to do and the things that have not been added in the last packet, and then we'll get that over there to the two of you so that it can be uploaded. It has to be done by June 30th, and I'm sure Donald will be in touch with you all on that piece. Other things in Sustainable Poolesville is that we have the Pick It Up Poolesville campaign, and that's been moving right along. They just had one on March 3rd. The next dates are March 16th, March 30th, April 6th, and May 5th. Now, I'll make sure that you get a copy of the Sign Up Genius link.
Yep.
And so that's what's happening with Sustainable Poolesville. Just another announcement. You might have seen some of the signs around town for the Poolesville Booster Club's mulch sale. And so it'd be great to support the local high school's booster club. And so you could go to www.phsboosterclub.org to look at how you could order mulch. And your orders have to be in by March 12th. I will, since Jeff, you brought up that basketball game with Poolesville, I will have to bring it up. Shameless plug, my son does play on the team, but I did go out to Columbia to support the team for their playoff game. And it was an excellent game, and you had a buzzer beater to send the game into overtime. And it was a three-point shot off the glass.
He called it. He called bank, right?
I
heard
hope
him
he
say
did,
bank.
but with 5 seconds left in the game to get the ball from one end of the court to the other and to hit the three-point shot, the young man, Harkey, that's his last name, he did a great job, and then that changed the momentum. So the game that's going to be in town on Tuesday should be an exciting game. For those of you who are going, you want to get your tickets online and get there early. And so in terms of fair access, Sarah, if you could hear me, I don't know if you want to share the great news of what happened today.
She comes.
She's moving, but we can't hear her. Anything we got to do to make sure we can hear Sarah?
Sure. It shouldn't be on our end, but let's see here.
You may send her a text.
I see her. I see the thing moving.
Thing is moving. It's just not.
Maybe her phone's on.
I'm going to try one thing. Hang on.
I hear the baby,
Yeah.
and baby's going to stand in for Sarah. That's all right. There it is.
I want to see if
Jay's trying to talk too.
that's fine. Where's the Centron should be it.
You're in mute, the top left corner up here, above Jay's.
So she said she and Jay can hear each other, but
Yeah.
Over.
Yeah, it looks like they're
Top
pulsing.
left, yellow box.
Oh, yeah. That?
Yep.
No, that's not it. It's just saying that we're in it. Let me see. Can they hear us? Because I want to isolate what the issue is.
Martin's texting.
yeah, they can hear you, it looks like.
So let me just see again, because everything should be good.
Nothing like working out the kinks as you go.
Yeah, she said to go, you can go ahead and give her a report if you want.
All right. Well, Sarah, I will give your report.
I will continue
And they can definitely hear you.
to work on this.
All right, and now we'll work on it. All right, so in terms of the fair access has been doing a lot of work in terms of the advocacy. And just today, they had the council committee voted to support the community center with no delay. And that's really important when you look at having it move forward with no delay. Even the baby's excited. And so the staff recommend, now there was a recommendation to possibly delay it because the total amount needed for the community center.
No, that wouldn't affect that. Just
But
give me a second here.
and that's because the POR is not finished yet. But nevertheless, the committee did not allow the staff to recommend to put a hold on it. And so you had Jeff was down there, Jim was down there, Link was there, and all I get to do is report on the thunder that they created being down there. But they the vote went through, and so they're going to move it forward. I'm going to have Jim speak a little bit more in detail about it. But there's definitely reason to celebrate when we look at the forward progress that's moving with having the community center. Jim, you want to add on to?
Yeah, did we get Sarah up and running yet? Doesn't look like it? No? Okay. All right, yeah, and thanks for passing the ball over. So just my report, I'll do the fair access aspect of it. And hey, people, this is the good news. Montgomery County, the county executive has put money into the budget for a community center for the town of Poolesville. And one of the key committees that looks at those type of expenditures has looked at that expenditure. These are the council members that we have been courting and working with for the entire time that the Fair Access team has been alive. We had a great showing today. Jeff was there today. Nancy Kidd was there. Link and I were there. We had our signs as always. And we were acknowledged by every single council member that was on that committee to thank us for our advocacy and our leadership and our partnership with the county. So we've got a situation here now where this is going to be a funded community center, and we're going to get the chance to take the next steps. It's not predicted to be built until FY '28 or FY '29 or and FY '30, but we're still going to, we've got a lot to do in between then, including picking a location and working with the county to see how all this is going to come together. But the good news is, the money has stayed in the budget by vote of this committee, and we're hopeful that when the county council approves the overall budget, that where the money is going to stay in there with it. So, I mean, this is one of those primary goals that we've been working for a long time, very exciting times for us. We are going to actually meet, Niles, Link, and I are going to meet with Greg Assant from Montgomery County on Wednesday to talk a little bit more about locations and a little bit more about the process of the community center and how the funding works with the timing of it, the design studies, et cetera. So more to come on that. We'll be able to report to that as we get a little closer to it. On Thursday, Link and I are going to go visit the Silver Spring Co-op. And the Silver Spring Co-op is interesting because it was designed and created not by the same people that have done Frederick and Lovettsville. So we're going to look at a different option on how another co-op has come together and try to use that information to take us to our next steps. So we've only heard one set of voices so far, and the one set of voices has been great, but it's not giving us, in my opinion, it's not giving us the depth of what we need in order to take the co-op to the next step up. So we'll be doing that. Just a reminder for all the commissioners, we have a budget meeting on March 16th, a work session, 9 a.m., and that'll be exciting. And we're going to talk a little bit tonight about our grant process, so that'll be something that'll come into play about how we refine our grant process and how then that works with our budget discussions.
Is this going to be different than the past budget sessions?
Uh-oh,
You
why?
promised excitement.
Oh, I did.
I'm just curious, do
I-
you have something planned for us? or-
I will come up.
Excitement is in the eye of the beholder.
So, you've exposed me. We do have something exciting that we're going to take care of. Don't worry. Be ready to be surprised.
Fireworks or something?
Fireworks inside.
Our high school.
What about the high school? What am I doing about?
Right there.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, Link, go ahead. Yeah, Link, take it.
On April 3rd, the
It's the one thing Link told me to do.
is going to do what they call a clap-in. And that means that the students are going to be going into the new classrooms, the new school, that part of it's open, which is incredible when you think about it. They're just going to have a really informal greeting with the kids and clap-in. But on the 16th, put both these dates in your calendar, because I think you guys will be invited to the clap-in too, if you want to be there to greet the students. The 16th, PTSA has their normal meeting that evening, and they're working with us on a effort to get Andrew Friedson, Marilyn Balcom, and the county executive there to make some remarks and have more of a formal thank you and grand opening of the new high school.
Is it April 16th?
April 16th,
Yeah.
right.
Do you know a time?
Not yet.
Not yet.
It's probably going to be their normal meeting's 6:30, I think, so it's either 6:30 or 7.
So, and keep these times in mind, 6:30, because it'll be 6:30 a.m. for the clap-in and 6:30 p.m. for what will be a tour. But again, we'll get the invitations out. The clap-in is going to be, Principal Carruthers wanted to make sure that it was as uncomplicated as possible in terms of the move-in. So we're not holding an event necessarily that time except for the clap-in, but then that after the PTSA meeting, or maybe before, depends on what they have going on. And luckily, likely the Fair Access Committee, we will put together some sort of event out of that time frame, since we'll have council members up. Thanks for reminding me, Link. Sorry about that. The one thing you gave me to talk about. All right, so that's all I have. Did we get those guys live?
Can Sarah or Jay try something right now? I just want to see. Yep, no, it's still nothing.
Oh, Jay's back,
Okay.
but, yeah.
Jim, may I?
Yep, okay,
You can hear me. Hold on.
okay. Hang on,
can't.
we'll keep at it. Just give me a second to check something here.
Do we have a lip reader on staff?
I'm wondering,
They could type in the notes.
okay,
But when
try
I,
it now, try something now. Oh, I have to switch one thing. Hang on. I go back to settings.
Elevator music.
Yep.
Hello.
We got it.
You can hear us?
Somebody.
Oh,
We can hear
Hey,
all right.
Wow, we were just
Yay.
talking about
Anything
that.
else?
Yeah, Jay, now we gotta
Doesn't
watch
have
what
to
we
go
say.
through.
We were having,
Exactly.
we were having our own private meeting.
we can hear all of it. It wasn't private.
Thinking about it the right.
Yeah.
That's good.
Sarah, anything to add to the reports that we've given so far?
No, I think you've done a fantastic job. We're just so excited and want to thank all the community members. They received, our council members received a lot of feedback, letters from our community members, and that absolutely is what makes things like this move forward. So thank you to everyone.
And you raise a good point, too. They, all of the council members acknowledged the muster campaign and the emails that our residents have sent in. So that was fantastic. So muster does work. When we reach out to the community, we love how they respond. So thank you for reminding me. They did mention that today. So it's all good. All right, anything else, Sarah? I don't want to cut you short there. We
Nope,
covered the bases.
that's it.
Okay, good. All right, very good. So public comment time of tonight. So if you're on the agenda for any of the agenda items, I'll get to you. But if you're not on, if you're here just for general discussion, so far it looks like we've got Jerry, Rebecca, Norm, Elizabeth, Bethany, and Sarah are signed up. Does anybody want to be a part of just the general comment section? Okay, good. Jerry, yes?
Well, no, I was gonna say, if they wanna go first because they have children, I'll wait.
Okay, yeah, well, I'll get you in a minute. That's cool. Appreciate that. But you're not going to be doing general comment. You're here to talk about one of the agenda items?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. All right, good. Approval of the minutes. We have minutes from February 20, 2024 that we need to approve. I take it everybody's had a chance to review them. Do they have any questions?
No?
Anybody want to make a motion?
Sure, I motion that we accept the minutes from the previous meeting.
Second.
Motion by Ed, second by Martin. All in favor of approval of the minutes for February 20, 2024, please say aye. Aye. There you go. Thank you, Sarah. Minutes have been approved 5-0. New business, chicken ordinance. So we just some quick background, and I'll let town staff take it in a minute here, but we've had a request from residents to review our chicken ordinance that we adopted some time ago. We'll get the time frame nailed down. And all of us, the commissioner as well as town staff, felt it was an appropriate time to at least open up discussion about potentially reviewing where we've been and what's happened over the course of the last year. And review from both a permitting standpoint, a complaint standpoint, a success standpoint, just to have more discussions about it. So we put it on the agenda. We appreciate the questioning to put it on the agenda. Town staff, what do you got for us?
It's just like Groundhog Day. It was last February that we had the chicken orders on Chicken Day.
Yeah.
Love it. Groundhog Day Part 2, chickens.
Niles,
Oh, hold on. Are you going to refer to the chicken czar? Go ahead.
chickens are.
I know he is.
He does have some information as far as number of permits and complaints and whatever else if you guys wanna.
So, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Just give it to us now.
So we've had basically 8 permits that have been issued. The most recent was in the past month. We've had essentially 2 complaints that have come up, or two concerns that residents have brought forward, but that's about it. I think those are the two main facts. As Wade mentioned, it was a year ago, so that's sort of going through the process.
Right.
No
Gotcha.
town civil war is broken out that I'm not.
No.
Okay, good.
Were the complaints resolved?
One we literally received today, so one we're investigating. The other has been, the chicken coop related issue has been resolved.
Great.
That's well put. Okay, guys, I appreciate that background on that, Niles, and thank you for riding herd. I'm not going to do all the jokes I got lined up. Thank you for keeping us informed. We appreciate it. So,
The budget session.
what's that?
Saving those for the budget.
Yeah, save for the budget, right, exactly. Okay, so, you guys, I'm not sure if there's an organized order that the people that want to testify on chickens for, but we've got Rebecca, Norm, are you here for chickens too? Yes. Okay, so Rebecca's standing, right? Okay, come on up. Yep, glad to have you here. Thank you. Come up, identify yourself and your co-presenter.
Yes, my co-presenter has something for each of you.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
My name is Rebecca McKeela. I'm at 17029
Thank you so
Fox
much.
Avenue. And I believe, so I sent you guys last night my whole letter, which I will not read to you today. I want to make sure that you got that and have it in hand.
We did, and we thank you for sending it in early so that we had a chance to read it and absorb it. We appreciate it.
Perfect, great. Well, thank you guys for getting us on the agenda tonight. We very much appreciate that. And I also want to personally thank each of you from our family. We've had so much joy in having chickens and sharing them with our neighbors, sharing them with our friends. We've really had a blast. It's really added. So thank you so much. And you guys really are welcome anytime to come by and see it in action and go home with a couple eggs, and we'd love that. So you're welcome. So at the time of the passing of the ordinance last year, we did not recognize that the ordinance was restrictive to many, if not most, of Poolesville residents. We come to you tonight asking that a few simple adjustments be made to the ordinance in order to expand inclusivity, regardless of family size or property layout. I remember you guys mentioning last year that if hen keeping was going well in the town, that we could revisit the number of hens specifically. And so regarding number 1 on the ordinance, we proposed changing the hen limit from 6 to 12. The current limit does not support enough eggs for families with more than a few members. We proposed 2 options for consideration. Number 1, the town could adopt a blanket 12 hen maximum based on coop size and run size, as already is outlined in number 2 of the ordinance. Or the town could adopt a tiered hen limit based on property size, which some other jurisdictions have found to be useful. And in my letter, I gave you a proposed system you could use for the tiered system. Our family of 6 living on nearly an acre would like to keep more than 6 hens for the purposes of sustainability and safety of the flock. Our family's experience is that with our 6 hens, we receive about 2 or 3 eggs per day on average. We would like to come closer to sustainably producing our own eggs rather than consistently supplementing from the grocery store. In regards to the safety of the flock, many retailers require that a person buy a minimum of 4 chicks at one time. It's not safe for chicks to be introduced into an existing flock in groups of less than 3, as the older hens bully and sometimes kill the younger ones. The same occurs with adding a single adult into an existing flock of hens. Additionally, when buying hens, it's advised to buy a couple more than the desired number, as it is with great frequency that the chicks die in their first weeks or are later identified as being a rooster. All to say, if a family has 4 adult hens and wants to have 2 additional, under the current limit, they must wait years for the flock to be reduced. What's the experience of neighbors if the maximum number of hens is increased? The size of the structure being constructed, which per the ordinance is limited to 10% the size of the property, will in and of itself limit the number of hens that can be kept. Considering that most store-bought coops have attached runs that are less than 60 square feet, most residents will continue to be limited to 6 or fewer hens. Our hens are enclosed in the coop or the run at all times, so while the presence of a new structure may be felt by neighbors, the number of hens present in the coop and the run is not something that would impact the town or adjacent neighbors. We ask you to increase the hen limit and trust us to make decisions about our flocks, specifically when and how many hens to add, and that will allow us to keep our pets healthy and happy, all while following the town's ordinance. Regarding number 2 on the current ordinance, we would like to request the ordinance be adjusted to require 2 square feet per hen in the coop, and this would be a change from 4 square feet. For your reference, the town of Rockville also has a regulation of 2 square feet per hen. The 4 square feet per hen in the coop is a requirement for hen keeping in cold climates. We request this restriction be modified to 2 square feet per hen, as it's more appropriate for the Maryland climate where hens are in the coop only for sleeping at nighttime. The second set of modifications we are requesting are in regards to the setback requirements. We request the setback from an adjacent dwelling to be adjusted from 100 feet to 30 feet, and the setback from the property line to be adjusted from 15 feet to 10 feet. For your reference, here in Montgomery County, in terms of the setback from an adjacent dwelling, in Gaithersburg, it's 30 feet. In Germantown, it's 15 feet. I've heard from numerous other families, some of which you'll be able to hear from tonight. Many were not able to come this evening. They were not able to find a suitable location on their property for a coop, and therefore were denied a permit or did not even apply for a permit, knowing that they would be denied. When I use the Google Maps measuring feature, I find few homes under a third of an acre, and some even that are over a half acre that do not have any space on their property that would meet the current setback regulations. Some families that do meet the setback regulations are choosing between removing a tree or a play structure in order to put their coop in the limited section of their yard that does meet the current setback regulations. So in conclusion, the ordinance as written last year, it's not inclusive to most residents living in Poolesville. We think you will find the proposed modifications we are presenting this evening to be reasonable. We thank you very much for your time and your consideration.
Great, thank you, and thank you for your leadership on this so far. We appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Yep, thank you. Very good. Any questions for the commissioners? All right, next up on the list is Norm.
My name is Norman Spencer, 17031 Tom Fox Avenue, and I want to make clear that chickens don't eat pickleballs.
Okay,
So we're
thank
safe
you.
there.
That,
But I live next to Rebecca, and the chickens, I forget they're there. And I think that the restrictions that they have are, in the permit are too broad, and they need to be reviewed. And I just wanted to support the review and potential change of those along the lines, something similar to what Rebecca had presented. So that was my only point, just being a neighbor, to just say that this is not a big deal for me, in the sense that I don't even notice them being there. So,
No noise, no smell, it's
yeah.
great.
are you being paid off in eggs? You come up and make
Once
this,
in a while.
once in a while. Just thought I'd
Looking
have,
forward to
didn't know if there was a conflict or
an
not.
increase there.
Okay,
Exactly.
yeah, I didn't want to go there.
Oh, that's my only
It's a
comment.
good explanation.
Thank you.
Oh, I have a quick question for you, Norm.
Yeah.
Quick question for you. Any issue of like animals or anything coming over and that kind of stuff?
No, I haven't. I mean, we live on a creek, and that creek supports a lot of deer and
Right.
fox and everything else, and they seem to just go their own way, just like they always did.
Okay, thank you.
So,
Fantastic.
Great, thank you, Norm, appreciate that, very good. Ms. Carpenter?
Elizabeth Carpenter, 17408 Hughes Road. Good evening. After the new chicken ordinance was passed last February, I believe it was on February 6th,
Correct.
I was driving to work listening to DC 101. Everyone knows the Elliot in the Morning Show. And I heard him announce the news. He says, Poolesville, and then he pauses for dramatic effect, like he does frequently. He says, just legalized keeping chickens. And his partner, his co-host, Diane, everybody knows her too, she remarked incredulously, Poolesville, aren't they surrounded by farm country? I thought they would be ahead of the curve. And in many ways we are. I'm proud to see that we are a progressive community when it comes to championing environmental causes, from the efforts made by Sustainable Poolesville with the Habitat Certification Project, the Community Garden, and the monarch pollinator habitat planted last spring by Life Scout Jason Woodman, along with many enthusiastic neighbors who volunteered to help him. I believe that we can make chicken keeping a progressive environmental movement in sustainability if we make it as accessible to as many residents as possible. By reducing the setbacks so that those who live on smaller lots can keep chickens and increasing the number of hens our neighbors can have to support their families, we can demonstrate how environmentally beneficial hen keeping really is. Not only do these pets make us a healthy, fresh breakfast, but by feeding them our food scraps, they also reduce food waste to near zero. Chickens will consume 95% of what we eat, as they eat almost everything. Since I have been keeping hens for the past 14 years, other than orange peels and avocado pits, there's virtually no food that goes into my waste bin. As for updating our setback requirements, if you recall, last year I presented the fact that 100-foot setback adopted by Montgomery County from adjacent dwellings was intended to regulate racing pigeons as they loiter within a 100-foot radius of their aviary. and they often defecate on adjacent property. The setback for pet hens is unreasonable because chickens are ground birds, they cannot sustain flight, and are contained in a coop, and they do not encroach upon neighboring property. Rebecca has proposed reasonable setbacks of 10 feet from the property line and 30 feet from an adjacent dwelling. Allowing additional hens for those who live on larger lots will also give residents the ability to be more self-sustainable and engage in egg sharing with neighbors, which is one of the many joys of this hobby. We hope you will support these changes to the chicken ordinance to demonstrate that our town embraces hen keeping as a vibrant, progressive practice while we work toward becoming a more self-sustainable community. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Elizabeth, I have a question for you. So I take it that you're in full agreement with the proposed changes to ordinance 224 that were submitted earlier?
Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure. I mean,
Absolutely.
either our former or our current chicken guru, and I wanted to make sure that this is something that you also were a part of and agreed to.
Yes, Rebecca and I discussed it, and the 4 square feet to 2 square feet is also entirely appropriate, considering we're in a moderate climate where the only time the hens go up into their coop is to sleep at night. It's not a cold climate where you would require,
Yeah, more space.
more space.
Right. Okay, very good. Thank you for that. We appreciate the testimony, Elizabeth. Very good. Bethany, are you ready to go?
Thank you.
This is a map of my
property.
Hey, how you doing? Hey, thank you.
Okay, my name is Bethany Kondo at Obeid. I'm at 17633 Collier Circle, in the very back of the circle, and I back to a field. It's actually the Jameson's field back there. It's a third of an acre lot, and last year I was very excited about the ordinance being passed, and I was going to apply for a permit, and actually I talked to Niles, and we went through my property, and I was disappointed to find out that I was not going to meet the regulations. I was not going to be given a permit. We tried, Niles tried to help me figure out on my property where we could make this work. He pretty much told me, I'm going to have to deny your permit. Now, I live in Westerly, right, Westman. Westerly, these are all like a third of an acre lots. I have a house on both sides, as you can see. The house is in the middle of the lot. There's no other structures around us. So it's a fairly regular, straightforward property, and I was not able to successfully get the permit. So I think that the setbacks, if we could revise them a little bit, it would allow people like me and pretty much everybody in all of those neighborhoods that want chickens, and we know a lot of them have them, we can go and get our permits so that we can legally keep our chickens here. So that's my testimony. I just wanted to follow up because I testified last year as well, and I was very excited to finally start this project, but still I can't start.
Maybe it'll just be a delay. Niles, thank you so much for working with her on that. I know that her lot, I know your property, and that it's hard to imagine that we couldn't figure out a way to get 100 feet working on that, so that's disappointing.
Niles tried to help me. He worked with me for about a day or two on it. He went back, we looked at Google Maps. We could not find a place to put that.
No,
on my property.
it's actually hard to imagine on your property, so.
Yeah, and my neighbors are great too, by the way. They're both very supportive on both sides, and there's nobody behind me. And still I couldn't get them. So it would be great if we could do some revisions so that I could actually do this.
Great.
Any questions?
Thank you. Yeah, really appreciate you coming up. Questions, guys?
Well, just maybe a question
Sarah?
more for Niles. In this situation, what was the number that would fit?
So I can't remember exactly where we were off by, but it was within, a few feet where we were trying to find that exact point where it's
The
100.
15-foot setback was a
Right.
big problem.
So basically.
Even though there was nobody behind me.
Yeah.
That 15 feet, if we went with the ordinance, I couldn't get it.
Yeah.
That's fair.
And then there was only one place for the 100 feet. As you see the diamond
Yep.
there on the map, that was the only place that we could try to place it, and the only
Yeah.
place of the property, and we still couldn't place it there.
Yeah.
So the 100 feet is an issue
So
as
this
well.
little dot was too close to the edge of the property and someone else's property was abutted.
Right.
That's
So it's the
correct.
connection of those 100 feet and the 15-foot
On both
setback.
sides.
So so it's connecting the two spots and the setback.
Yeah, so you can see that it's great that we've started this process, but it's not working for the residents. In anyone that has a third of an acre lot, we can't get them. So,
I will say that I know that we're going to listen to everybody tonight and take it all into consideration and then discuss it at a future meeting. But I will say, for my part, I look forward to this discussion. I think we've had a year now, and I think we've learned a lot in that year. And I look forward to reopening this and seeing if we can't work something out and taking a look at it. No promises.
They're
but,
okay. Let them do their thing. They're all right. They're kids.
Yeah, they're fine.
They're fine.
sorry.
Well, it's like people like you too, Bethany, thanks for coming up, pleading your case. We appreciate how you've worked
Yeah.
with Town Hall. And again,
I just want to say one
Sure,
more
go.
thing too. So about the number of chickens, now our property is a smaller property. I'm not planning to have 12 chickens. I don't want 12 chickens. I just want to try to raise a few chickens, like 5 or 6 at the most, So I think that based on the coop size and based on the property size, which we've already have in the regulations, we can make this work for the property sizes. The bigger properties may have the opportunity to have more chickens, the smaller properties will not, I think we can make this work, but what we have right now is not working. So, at least for the majority of the residents in Westman and Westerly, none of us are going to meet those regulations, so.
well, the plan was to dip our toe in the water, and the toe has been dipped.
Yes, and I think it's
And we
going well. I mean,
appreciate-
I'm hearing good feedback. I'm still anxious to get going, but
Hang in there.
I'm waiting. I'm being a good
All right.
resident, okay?
Yeah, thank you for that.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much.
it. Thank you. Good job. All right, very good. Sarah, you're next up.
I'm trying to coerce her into.
Coerce the witness to come up. Got it. Okay, that's fine. We're good for it.
Hi, I'm Sarah Newens. I'm at 17105 Tom Fox Avenue. Good evening, commissioners.
Good evening.
47,300 square feet is the size of our property. That is just over 1 acre. Roughly 2,000 square feet of our just over an acre lot is where we can place a chicken coop. Within that 2,000 square feet, we have a retaining wall with landscaping, a fence, a shed, a greenhouse, further reducing the potential location for a future coop. That is less than 4% of our property where I can place a chicken coop to be within current regulations. First, I support the coop setback proposal from lot lines to a reasonable 10 feet and coop location of 30 feet from any dwelling or principal structure on any adjacent lot. Second, I encourage you to increase the maximum number of chickens allowed by homeowners. The allowable chicken limits within different Maryland jurisdictions range from 5 chickens to an unlimited number. The city of Baltimore allows up to 50 chickens over the age of 1 month for community gardens and urban agricultural enterprises. On lots greater than 2,000 square feet, there is a tiered allowance for each 1,000 square feet up to 10 chickens. Given the rural location of our town, I believe a reasonable upper limit is 12 chickens. I would also encourage you to adopt similar language as the City of Baltimore in reference to the chicken age over 1 month, as chickens can easily expire before reaching their egg-laying age. My support for modified setback and location requirements and hen limits is not only for myself and my family, but for other hopeful, responsible, law-abiding future chicken stewards. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you very much.
Great. Anything from your co-presenter?
Do you want to read your letter?
You can read it, that's fine. Or you can, either one of you guys.
Do you want to start and I can finish?
You want your mom to read the letter instead?
I will read her letter.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, yes.
She has been working on this for a week now.
We are not going to let this night go by then. Let's do it.
Dear Town Commissioners, I think chicken owner regulations should be expanded for various reasons. It would be great if we were able to have a couple more chickens and the chicken coop didn't have to be in a restricted location. I love going over and seeing my neighbors' hens, but they are limited to only 6. It has worked well for my family to bring food scraps to our neighbor's coop for the chickens to eat. We've also enjoyed playing with the chickens and collecting their eggs. I think being able to have 12 hens is more reasonable than being able to have 6 hens. One reason is if people can only start out with 6, there's a chance most of them could die after a short time and there would only be a couple left. If people can start out with at least 10, there would still be enough left to provide eggs if some of them die. Another reason is that only 6 chickens might not provide enough eggs for big families or big groups of people. Finally, I believe that people should have more options of where they can put their coop. The coop having to be 15 feet away from another person's property line has prevented a lot of people from having hens because their yard is too small and other properties are too close. Also, in the space people do have to put it, that area could already be covered by something else like a shed or garden. My family is thinking about getting chickens soon, and hopefully by then, the regulations will be expanded. Thank you, Evelyn Newens.
Awesome. Thank you for writing that up. Appreciate it.
Very nice letter.
Yep. Okay, guys, thank you. Very good. Nice seeing you. Appreciate you guys coming tonight. All right, that concludes the chicken discussion. Nope, we have more. All right, bringing it. That's fine. Yeah, go for it.
You want her to sign in?
No, I'll get you at the end.
All right.
I know who she is.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm
Hey,
Soledad
Soledad.
Aguilar. I'm 17501 Collier Circle. I'm a neighbor of Bethany. And I just wanted to add to what everybody has already mentioned that, as Ed mentioned before, we are recertifying for Sustainable Poolesville this coming June. And having backyard chickens gives us 5 extra points, which is interesting because we want to go for the silver certification. And so the more points we can get, the better. And the reason for this has been previously explained, but it's mostly that it reduces food waste. Chickens are good for composting. The waste from the chickens can be used as organic fertilizers that we are now promoting in the community. And they also eat mosquitoes and flies as part of their diet. And of course, they are very good for kids to educate them about food security and where the food comes from, etc. So as a result of all those benefits, we would get 5 extra points for our certification. So I just wanted to mention this as an additional point in favor of the requirements that are being proposed. And myself, I have the same problem in my lot. Now it's like my personal experience. I have a corner lot on Wooten and Collier Circle. And I looked at I didn't come here, but I looked at all the setbacks, and I also couldn't place a chicken coop in my lot. It's 1/3 of an hectare, but since it's a corner, it's difficult to find the spot. So just adding that I have the same problem as Bethany. Thank you very much.
Soledad,
Thank you, Soledad.
thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. And I love the aspect of talking about the composting part of this. So that's something that we didn't emphasize enough on the first go around. So nice to have it be part of the discussion this time. Okay, anybody else that didn't sign in that still wants to talk and wants to talk about chickens? Nope. Okay, good. Well, everybody that wants to stay and continue to enjoy the rest of the meeting, feel free to stay. But if you want to leave and go do your thing, that's fine too. We know we got bedtimes in school tomorrow.
Yep.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everybody, for being here tonight.
being here.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Good seeing you again. Yeah, that's all right. They've been great.
Yeah.
It's good to hear the voices. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye. Thank you. Good night. See you, Bethany. Bye.
Thank you.
You keep them?
All right, Sarah, did you have anything there? I kind of see you waving around. Anything? You good? Okay, good. Thank you. All right, guys, very good. So next up is the Willard Fish Pool.
Then Jerry was.
I'm sorry, I didn't know which one did you want to be a part of?
The grant.
Okay, well, that you can be under public comment right now and talk about it, you can wait till the grant time. It's up to you.
Like the public comment right now.
Okay, good. Come on in. It's all yours, sir.
Jerome Klobakowski, 17300 Fletchall Road, Poolesville. I'm going to preface what I'm going to say about the grants with following remarks. One, 2 commissioner meetings ago, Commission President Jim Brown mentioned that there's probably going to be a tax increase, or he sounded more positive that there was going to be a tax increase. And generally, every time there's a tax increase, we end up with a water and sewer rate increase. And then with the requirements for the more stringent water filtration requirements, which the town is going to have to meet, and the need to change out the filters every so often. And now you've got this revised grant form, which adds a new category of capital grants with the maximum grant of $50,000. You have 3 different categories, totaling $77,500. Is there a budget line, or is there one going to be created? Could a different organization working for a common purpose or objective apply for each one of these in the same year? Or could one organization coordinate with another organization to apply for different grants to be used on the same property or for the same purpose? Am I correct in understanding that the grantee for a major and the capital grant would have to put up 20% of the grant total? In the case of $25,000, that's $5,000, and in the case of the $50,000 grant, that's $10,000. Now, the $25,000 grant says that that required 20% could consist of volunteer hours, and I'd like to know how that dollar amount is going to be calculated. Because if it's architects involved, are you going to use his hourly rate? If a regular general laborer is going to be involved, are those rates going to be used? So how are you going to calculate how someone is contributed towards that $5,000 with respect to the $25,000 grant? The capital grant requires that the awardee is to submit paid invoices, but the major grant does not. There should be almost identical requirements for the $25,000 grant as well as the $50,000 grant. There shouldn't be any differences. In fact, they're almost the same. And also one other thing, maybe it's just probably my confusion, but you say the Poolesville Civic Association, nonprofit, or other community group. Now, is it a nonprofit 5013C Poolesville Civic Association, or is the 5013C that's just another category? Is that correct in understanding that?
Separate category, but can still be the same.
Okay. All right. And so basically that's it. But bottom line is, you want to raise taxes. Water and sewer rates are probably going to go up. You have the new requirements for water filtration system and the requirements to change out the filters. That money's got to come from somewheres. But yet, the total of $77,500 you're willing to give away of the Poolesville taxpayer money. I understand it's going to probably benefit somehow the town's, citizens. However, if you've already got facilities within the town that satisfy the requirements of some of these grantees, then why would you want to give out the grant? Okay, that's it on the grant. I've probably forgotten something. But let me ask this with respect to the community center. What is the county expecting us to contribute towards the community center besides land? Is there some sort of dollar amount they're looking for us for a buy-in? And also, is there going to be a reduced hourly rate for use of the community center by Poolesville and Western Montgomery County groups? Because it ain't cheap to use one of those community centers. And then the last thing is GIS. Where are we with that?
It's being put together right now. We're going to be launching it as the guys do their fire hydrant flushing this spring.
So is it just going to be fire hydrants, or are you going to do trees, light poles?
The first round's going to be fire hydrants, water valves, sewer manholes, sewer mains, water mains, and street lights.
Very good. Thank you.
Sorry, don't mean to interrupt, Jerry. Go ahead.
No,
I just wanted to.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say, so just knock off a couple things that you talked about, and I did want to say thank you too for bringing up the very good questions. And you know that what's been put out there is just proposed in terms of the grants. So you've given us good fodder. These are the things that we are going to discuss to kind of further flesh that out. So I appreciate you bringing up what you did.
Not a problem.
In terms of the contribution, just wanted to be upfront, they haven't even asked us to contribute land. I can never see us contributing actual money of any kind beyond, land is money, but at the same time, I don't see us writing a check in order to have the county build the community center there. I mean, will we be talking about potentially changing some parking regulations, as our commissions doing things that help facilitate it being created? Then I could see that's up for discussion. But as of this time, nothing's been promised, including land, in terms of getting the community center funded and built.
Okay, the only reason I asked that is because I remember when...
Probably something I said.
No, it had to do with crossvines and the golf course rehabilitation and all that stuff.
Right.
And the county said we had to put skin in the game, so we put a budget line item of $25,000 in there for our skin in the game. Now, whether or not that was ever spent, I don't recall. So, again, that's the reason why I asked that question. But also, the hourly rate, that's another thing.
I don't know, we're going to find out if there's precedence for that. If there's a reduction in hourly rate for other communities, we'll have to see what the deal is on that.
All right.
Appreciate that, though. It's a worthy question. Yeah, go.
Yeah, I just want to say, I think it's a very valid point, and maybe it is an opportunity for us to have a discussion about, let's say if the town of Poolesville does donate property for the community center, there could be a discussion point where we say, well, then, if it's a town functioner, Poolesville resident or something like that, that the rate could be adjusted.
I think it's worthy of discussion. I just want to see what precedent's been set previously.
Yeah, sure.
On it too. But it does make sense that if there's something of value that we're putting into the equation, that we could ask for some sort of quid pro quo or just see if it's possible.
Yeah.
Just for your awareness, in 2024, the county rec centers are free for county residents to use, the regular use. Now, if we want to talk about events or things like that, that's different. But for regular use, it's free this year.
Okay. This year?
Yeah, this year.
What about follow-on years?
I don't know, I just was
No.
giving you information.
The other
It's the
thing,
second year they've done it, so they've done it to ISIS, but I think it's
Okay.
going to be eventually going to be
Yeah.
permanent.
all right.
Well, we're worried about it 5 years from now, but that's still something we'll keep an eye on. Go ahead, Jerry, go ahead.
With
keep
my
going.
limited ability to add, subtract, multiply, and divide, if you take $50,000 and you want $100,000, and you break it down into two $50,000 requests, because that's what Riverworks asked you for. They asked you for $100,000. So if they delay the project, completion of one part, they come back for asking for another $50,000. And I think, when someone embarks upon something, it's up to them to figure out how they're going to get there without necessarily going to the local government and asking for money. Thank you, gentlemen.
Noted. Thank
Sarah,
you.
good to hear that you can talk again.
Thanks, Jerry. Anything else for Jerry?
Nope.
Okay, good.
Just one quick.
Yes, sir.
Maybe it's more a question for Niles, and the point about the hourly rate, is there like I don't even know where to pull a number from.
Right.
As far as for a project for volunteer hours or whatever?
Yes, if there's a
So
compensation.
this is similar language. So what I was tasked with doing was putting together grant proposals that other places use, so we could have these for discussion points. And they do, sometimes they use hourly rates or their standards for engineers or whatever else, if that's.
Also be an hourly rate given the skill.
That's exactly what we had to do when we turn in, like Maggie's time for doing administrative stuff for the wastewater plant grant, which is what we do right now. So
Okay, thank you.
exactly.
Yeah, thank you.
All right,
Good point, Jerry, thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, Jerry. Appreciate that. Yep. Good stuff. All right. No other people in the audience want to speak up during this part of it? Great. All right. Men, Willard Fishpool.
Okay, this is back before us. We talked about this last meeting and actually approved it. I drafted new language in the PIA, as well as the payment agreement, and I've highlighted those areas that really kind of grasp the concept. Now they want to go back to the original plan, which is to have each of the dwelling units on the property next door here be 2,000 square foot or smaller. So the language in there, and it captures that. They will have basements in them, which is one thing the planning commission actually wanted originally from this project. So people would, there could be smaller homes, smaller lots. They wanted place to put storage. I mean, that was, one of the topics brought up. So the Willards do have a developer that they're working with agreements, and the developer wants to go ahead and build the project, and he can keep them underneath the 2,000 square foot, which puts them into the category of the townhouse range for this project. So it's $9,000 per unit will be the connection fee for this.
Do we need to vote on that?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
We should do the PIA first, see if there's any questions on that one. and then
But that's
we'll go
really
through-
consistent with what we spoke about, given that they were going to make
This
the
was-
homes
This
maximum.
is the original things that Jay's language and everything that we approved
Yeah.
4 months ago.
It's a bit of a gravy to have a basement as well.
Yes.
Does that count towards the square feet, or would not
It
imagine?
does not. Everything
Living space.
above ground.
Living space, okay, thanks, yep.
It can be living space, but
Oh,
it
true.
it would be below grade.
Yep, yep, okay.
So anytime you hear people talking about 2,000 square feet, it's always about what's above grade, which is main level and next floor up.
Yep.
We had this discussion at Town Hall, kind of kicked it around a little bit. Okay, very good, Wade, thank you for that information on it. And so anybody need further background on this? Because this is something that's been, we've gone back and forth on, and it actually feels like that they're trying to get to the finish line here. So, and of course, they need to have this agreement be approved by the town.
Did we already approve the water connection for, I still want to call it the Donovan property?
The
10
Donegans,
years ago, right? Like,
Yeah.
that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
yes, that was an original, in 2000, that was actually awarded to that property. What you will see in the future is a public improvement agreement.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. That was when, that was ages ago when they came to.
Donegan got it approved, like,
renew their-
before that
Yes.
guy
And
even
that
came
was at the
around.
same moment when they presented the filling station, right, the gas station?
No, this was long before that even. He kind of kept a placeholder. He kept coming in, like, we made him come in every couple of years or something like that. And he kept like re-upping, because there was no project to go in there.
Oh, he was going to lose his.
Right, and so he kept it going, yeah.
Yeah, in recognition of how important that piece of land is to the town in terms of our entranceway and what future use might be. And we were thinking grocery store at the time, but what they've come up with, it looks like a very good plan too, so.
But that plan's been approved and we're just waiting on, like Wade said,
Gotcha. So it's two separate votes for this, guys? Okay, very good. So if you'll look at your agenda, we have whoever wants to be part of the approval process here. We have two pieces that have to be approved. One is the payment agreement final, and the other is the Willard PIA amended final.
I make a motion, we approve the payment agreement final as written.
That's a good motion. Thank you. We have a motion to approve the payment agreement as presented, which is the final, the last go-round. Do we have a second on that?
May I ask a question? Would that be reflected in the budget that we're going to be discussing?
No, because we really don't have an exact time frame of when we're going to collect those funds. And those funds will be restricted when they do come in for sewer projects and things like that. So they really won't impact what we have facing us for the FY '25 budget.
I was of the impression that, and I'm all in favor, but I was of the impression that their start date for building was 2020, this year.
It's yet to be seen. Willard
to
came
say.
back, for the last 3 years, we've heard that it may happen this year, it may happen this year, so.
And so there's no guarantee of when they're going to start and when the funds will start coming in. And as Wade said, they've got a restricted end use on our side, which really does not affect the budget that we're going to be working on in any way. So, I mean, you can look off into the future with a crystal ball and hope and think that money's going to come in, but we don't know what their development schedule is. And when does these agreements expire for these guys?
These agreements themselves will not expire.
Right, there you go.
Plans that are associated with can expire if they don't get extensions at the appropriate times.
So you guys get the picture here, is like, they can't, they have to have the right amount of time to do what they have to do to get their development up and running. So that goes on forever, but again, the plans have to be.
And if they come in, they change the square footage or whatever, then everything starts over.
Yes.
Subject to a redo.
Yep.
Right. Okay, very good. So we had a motion by Martin to approve the payment agreement. Do we have a second?
Second by Jeff.
Second by Jeff. Okay, any other questions for this? Sarah, you got anything here? Nope. Okay, Ed, anything on your side? All those in favor of approving the motion as stated, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
None opposed? Okay, great, 5-0. Thanks for that vote, everybody. So next up is the Willard PIA amended final. You guys have had a chance to look at that as well. And we can go to motion or we can go to questions.
So wait, everything's exactly the same except for what you highlighted, correct?
That's correct. So what it did, it inserted Jay's language that we had approved 4 or 5 months ago for the 2,000 square foot.
And this is all like the same as before. This is all, we've seen all this before.
This is all identical.
What's old is new.
Right, well, it's back again, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So it's good to have it back, and we appreciate the conversations, communications between town staff and the Willards. And this is, again, going back to where we were hoping this would end up being, where the planning commission worked through, et cetera. So.
If anybody doesn't have any questions, I'll make a motion. Does anybody want to?
Yeah.
No.
Nope, go, you want to make that
I make a
motion?
motion, we approve the Willard PIA agreement as written.
Motion to approve the Willard Fishbowl PI connection fee.
I'll second.
I'm sorry, plan, seconded by Ed. Any other questions on it? It's an agreement, by the way. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
None? Great. Okay, we've approved 5-0. Thanks a lot for the work on that. Good luck to the Willards. Hope they get started here sometime soon. That'd be awesome. Old business, ordinance 226, cannabis dispensary. We got to set a public hearing for it for March 18th, 2024. We're open to have discussion on this right now, but really the purpose of this on the agenda tonight is to set that public hearing. If you want to give us more background, feel free.
Sure, Niles, go ahead.
Yep, so the planning commission at the last meeting, at the February meeting, discussed this, and they made 2 recommended changes that are reflected in the draft that you had in your packet. First change was to eliminate what was then number 6, which was that the Board of Zoning Appeals shall not grant, basically it says, the parking requirement as outlined in the zoning code and shall not grant a variance thereon to. Additionally, the Board of Zoning Appeals shall not allow for off-site parking to satisfy the parking requirement. And then the second, so that one they had removed, and then the second recommendation was to remove what was then number 9, which was signage for a cannabis dispensary shall be limited to one non-illuminated sign not exceeding a total of 12 square feet. Both of those were the recommendation was based on the assumption that both of these requirements were specifically directed at one use rather than them fitting into the overall use of all regulations in terms of parking and in terms of signage. So they were basically too targeted to a.
To quote the great Jay Gullo, arbitrary and capricious.
Yes, arbitrary and capricious.
Yeah, you proud of me, Jay?
Yeah, that's great.
But that was the only 2 changes that they saw. So that draft reflects those changes.
Understood. Okay, thank you for the update on that. We're still here to set the public hearing for it, so if anybody wants to make a motion to set the public hearing for March 18th, 2024.
I make a motion, we set the public hearing for ordinance 226 cannabis dispensary for March 18th, 2024.
Motion made by Martin. Do we have a second?
May I ask a question?
Let's get a second, then we'll ask the questions. Second from Ed. Okay, go ahead, Jeff, you're up with the questions.
Well, yeah, as we discussed this last commissioner meeting, the state has made the law that, I mean, given the language and the text that we got from the last commissioner meeting, it's not something that Poolesville can say no to, right?
Nope.
So I'm confused. I mean, I want to have a public hearing, but I don't know what the public's going to say. Well, I guess we'll find out, but.
They can come in and say anything they want. They could say, you know, you should tighten the zoning, and we have to probably push back in that instance and say that's not going to stand up to like legal scrutinization,
Right.
and explain why we wouldn't do it. But I mean, you know, the public can say anything they want to say.
Of course, yeah.
But by law, we have to have this public hearing.
That's the critical thing, yes. By Maryland state law, we have to have the public hearing for an ordinance.
That's fine, that's my only question. Thank
And you are right that, like, this is not Poolesville, either endorsing or condemning
Right.
cannabis use. This is us adopting the state base.
Yep,
That's
yep.
what the state has said that they want to do.
Yep.
basically, so.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Motion's been made, second's been made. Call it for a vote. All those in favor of setting public hearing to talk about ordinance 226 cannabis dispensary, set the public hearing for March 18th, 2024, please say aye. Aye. What was that? There was more there?
No, it was
Just Sarah?
saying aye.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, we heard you, Sarah. You're good. All right, that motion's been approved. The public hearing is officially set March 18th,
During the commission
2024.
During the commission.
It's during.
Okay,
We're going to open the meeting with it.
okay, thanks.
Great. Okay, public hearing's been set. Thanks, town staff, for the background on that. Grant policy procedures review. Wade and Niles.
So we threw together exactly what we were asked to do, looked at what other municipalities use for grant guidelines and requirements, as well as what we have to, fulfill as far as when we get grants from the states or the federal government. And we broken it down into three different categories as we were directed to. The biggest thing is, and Jay, he reviewed this also, and the biggest thing is that all grants must serve a public benefit. Giving it to a private organization or to a resident that doesn't benefit the public in some way or the town itself would be illegal. Is that right, Jay?
That's correct. The language, the test is it has to serve a public purpose, and that public purpose is determined by the commissioners. So that's a case-by-case basis, obviously, but a public purpose is the bottom line.
Okay.
And that seems like a big no-brainer. I mean, it's got to serve the.
Right. And I just want to, we've kind of been laxed with some of our rules and requirements that we've had over the last couple of years. And so I just want to bring everything, make everything perfectly pictured.
No, this is good. Thank you.
Okay. So we broke it down into three. We had two categories before. So let's just start with the first one if we can, mini grants. And this used to be a $1,000 expenditure, and I increased it to $25 just because a lot of the scout projects, everything that's been coming in on a lower level has been, well over $1,000. And in addition to that, we used to require mini grants to come in just in January so they could be part of the budget. Well, we have a $5,000 line item for grants every single year. And so there's really no reason for this to be specific to a January request. It should be able to come at any time during the year, and you have, the funds already in the budget, so it's not a budget amendment or anything. So just food for thought there. So what it just makes, each of these categories, while they increase in dollar amounts, they also increase in requirements to satisfy the requirements of the grant. So the first one, the mini grants, it is fairly simple. The only requirement they're going to have is to come back at the end of the project and turn in visual reports, project outcomes, just success of the project itself and how it benefited. And with the grant application, they also have to put into it how it's going to benefit the public. And there's several categories and line items that have to fill it out within the application itself. Second one would be the major grants, and they range from $2,500 to $25,000. Now these would have to be, the applications would have to come in by January 15th. That way they can get into being presented to the commissioners at a reasonable time before we start into the budget process. And then we can decide, who's going to be eligible or not eligible as we're going through the budget process, like we will be doing at the work session on the 16th. This type of grant will require a 20% match, and we did talk about in-kind donations, cash, or volunteer hours. And that's pretty typical of a lot of grants you receive, or we receive from Heritage Montgomery. We got $100,000 for the band shell, but we also gave engineering time as part of our contribution to the grant also. So there's definitely ways to figure that out. It's not difficult at all. The funds must be expended in the year that they are requested in. And that kind of leads to one thing that Jerry was asking, is somebody could ask for $50,000 one year, $50,000 for the next year. Well, the project needs to be completed and fulfilled in the fiscal year, and it can't just carry on and keep accumulating funds or requesting funds. And then the awardee will have to come to this body and put on a presentation of the outcome of the project, give pictures, visuals, and everything like that to make sure that satisfy the requirements of the grant and it was successful and benefited the public. The third category I was requested to put together was something a little bit larger. So we went to $25,000 to $50,000, and that would be the cap. And again, this one here gets a little bit more strict, where it does require to be an association, 501(c) or a community group, and they must document, exactly the legal aspect of how they're an organization. Successful grants have to have a person that's going to say they are the grant manager, one person that we can speak to and work back and forth with. They must have a 20% cash match, and I wrote documentation required, and that just means they have to show that either the match is coming from another outside source or they have cash equity of some sort to put into it. And this type of grant, they must spend the capital up front, and then they can seek reimbursements, which is what we have to do basically when we get our grants. And then they also have to come at the end of that and give a visual presentation and turn in all the receipts and everything else. So that's, on a nutshell, the three different categories. So.
Sarah had a question. I don't know if she's able to ask, but she said, where did the $50,000 cap come from? Like, is it just something that you got from the other things you went out and looked at, or?
No, actually, the more research I did in smaller municipalities, the less I see the less and less grants are actually being given out in this time. But for my own thing, just put the budget together and knowing what a $50,000 grant would do to the budget, it's substantial.
Impactful.
Yeah.
My druthers was when we stopped it at 25,000, and then I was asked at the last meeting, just bump it up a little bit and let's see what, that looks like. So that's where that came from.
Okay.
So it could be arbitrary, but it's really just related to my sense of the budget.
Yeah, good.
Well, so the line item in the budget, let's make up a number, the line item in the budget is $10. Then the addition of all the grant requests cannot exceed $10.
If it does, it'd be a budget amendment. Which takes a vote of full
So
commission.
so if it was $12, then we have to have a budget amendment for $2 plus. Okay. And then the line item in the budget would just be historical, I guess, right?
It is, yes, yeah. 5,000, we've carried $5,000 for 15, 20 years probably.
Okay.
Sometimes it gets used and sometimes it doesn't.
Sure. Thank you. So then I'm just thinking, so if we decide on the grant request, yes, no, during the budget process, right?
Yeah, except for the mini grants.
Okay, but that would be,
Right.
but eventually there would be a cap on that, so it would behoove the organizations who are going to request to come early, and whatever that process was, otherwise the bucket is empty.
They could, and we could talk about increasing that line item if you wanted to also. I mean, it's, like I said, it came from $1,000.
Sure.
And $1,000 doesn't really get any project off the ground anymore these days, so that's why I raised that one to 20.
I just want to make sure I'm clear about it. Thank you.
So at any time, we could always have a budget amendment, right? And so even if the well runs dry because with the what was been allocated for mini grants, and let's say you have 10 and each one wants $1,000, and then you've hit that $10,000 cap, then an 11th one comes in, there could be a discussion on a vote if we amend the budget or not.
Yes, and that has happened in the past.
Okay. Looking over all of this, and maybe I'm missing it, is there language, or can we have language about what happens with unused funds, and being very clear that
So I
unused funds are returned?
Did add a clause in here. Failure to comply with the requirements or expenditures of funds as requested will result in forfeiture of grant funding and or ineligibility for future grants.
So I'm thinking, like, let's say a person said they want a grant for $2,500, but after they start making purchases or whatever, it comes up to $2,300, and so there's a $200 balance. Then this clarity that $200 is returned.
I can spell it out even more so.
Right, I'm just thinking about one of the events that happened this year, and then there was a return check, right? And then not that we want to get in the business of micromanaging other folks, but really clear on this was what needs to happen.
I think this language covers it, but we can definitely bolster that up.
And then I'm looking at any penalties in addition to the losing the opportunity to request additional grants in the future, but if you have mismanagement of if you have poor fiscal management and money is spent on other things that they weren't supposed to be spent on, those kinds of things, and then how do we recoup? Like, organization says, hey, we're going to spend the money on X, Y, and Z, and once they get the money, they go spend the money on other things. Is there a way to recoup?
Let's call it
Go
this,
after.
this attorney of ours.
Yeah. Thinking about fraud and getting money back.
That sounds tricky.
Go ahead, Jay.
Giving people money is tricky business.
Yeah, I think that once we get closer to this, we might be talking about the reimbursement system type of thing.
Right, that's what I'm looking at.
You know, that's how we have to do it with the state. You would think they trust us, but you might be talking about so much money out front, and then they can use that and then get reimbursed. So it might not be a lump sum out. We'll have to see how we go, but that's probably the best bet, because you give them $25,000 and they use it to pay their heating bill, and they got no money and there's nothing to get back. So, you know, we're going to have to work sort of like on maybe an escrow type of arrangement.
Right.
So,
Because I'm
which is more work for the town too, so you got to remember that.
Okay.
Thanks, Jay. Questions, anything else from the commissioners? I just had a couple comments if we haven't exhausted it yet. So in shaping this up with town staff, we had a couple further discussions. One is about that we know that we have a sports organization, the Poolesville Swim Team has requested, a grant proposal. And that made me just, we didn't write it into this because I wanted to have more discussion with the group about it, but I'm not 100% sure. I don't want to pull the rug out from underneath these guys if they've already got planning put in place to do something with their grant application, which hasn't been approved yet. But it does make me wonder, we talk about the organizations that are going to be applying for it, 3 levels of grants. I like what we've done with our 3 tiers. My only comments are, one is that even for the mini grants, I think there should be some sort of organization behind the grant person applying for the grant. There has to be an organization behind it, and that has to be spelled out in the grant application. I like it for a Poolesville resident, but I could replace the chickens in my backyard with growing hops and try to create some sort of brewery. And I can make an application for that. I don't really, who would be behind me? The Brewers Association? I'm not sure, besides my family. So that just bugs me. I think we need to have some sort of organization behind any grant level. It can't just be for individuals. Even our scout projects, the scout, we know the Boy Scouts are behind them, or whoever the scouting organization is. And then the same thing to move it up to talk about sports organizations. And just for an example, I love the Piranhas, and we're going to need every bit of the swim team's help as we fight for the bubble over the pool. We need to have them on our team, as it would be. But at the same time, the substantial amount of kids even from Poolesville that are participating in the Piranhas program. And is it really appropriate for us to be using the taxpayers' monies to support the sports programs when they could be raising the funds themselves? For example, again, John ran the PBA before I did, and oh, that's right, you just wrestled it from Conrad and gave it to me. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, downplay it. I got it. I can. Yeah. He did. And then you stood over him and told him, give it to him now. Yeah, I remember that meeting. That was a good meeting. Thanks, John. So, again, sports organizations, that's something that I just feel like, is that really something that we want to do, is support what the sports organizations do? Because we have a lot of them in town, too. They could all use the money, but they all have the ability to charge and raise funds for themselves, too. So those are my 2 concerns about it. And I appreciate, this has been put together very well. I don't have a lot of questions about the structure of it, But I do wonder, like philosophically, is that something that we're going to be doing as funding sports teams' requests? And should we have an organization?
Are you suggesting the possibility of maybe removing the sports organizations from the possibility of grants?
I am suggesting that, yes.
Because I wonder if we did do that, if it might make sense to put like grandfather like them in for the year or something like that, and then start it like not this year but next year. Or the year
I am
after.
suggesting that
Fiscal
to
year
some level.
25.
Yeah.
Because some people probably are counting on it, and
I am, yeah. I don't, in today when we were talking about this a little bit further, I was thinking even, I'm not trying to be cheap, but trying to get some sort of middle ground off of requested 2,800, get 2,800, to have some sort of middle ground, at least to have them fall in under our mini grant number, if they can't make up. If they can't make up $300, that's the difference between the two.
Or for
And then let it know that that philosophically, the commissioner decided sports organizations need to really take care of themselves.
is it possible to take these on a case-by-case basis and make them matching grants? Like say, if a sports organization came in and needed like $2,000, if we said something like, well, we'll give you $1,000 if you can raise your own $1,000?
They could do that, but what would happen is it could be tricky. Like we didn't buy uniforms, and not saying they would be either. Our citizens are honest, and they definitely appreciate all the volunteer network that does everything they do for our sports programs, and they're all volunteers, and they all put a ton of time in. But I mean, if you came to me and I'm running the basketball organization, I could show you where we've spent $25,000.
Yeah.
So no problem coming up with, showing you where our money went to and what we had to charge to get it, and we offer scholarships, and we, there's plenty of kids that don't pay because they can't.
Yep.
So I don't know. I mean, I'm open to talk about it too. I'm not saying this is hard and fast, but I think we have 17 sports organizations in Poolesville, and they could all come in and ask for money, and they'd have a good reason to.
Well, can we digest this until the next meeting?
Well, we're not making decisions tonight. I'm hoping
Yeah.
to get more direction and just shape this thing up.
More discussion.
Yeah, I think I like what you come up with, and thank you for that. I mean, there might be a little tweaking here and there, but I mean, this is a great starting point. Thanks for doing that work.
And again, thank you for asking, but I'm not saying I just want to pull the rug out from underneath the
No, I
school
hear
team.
you.
That's
I hear
not
you.
it.
No.
Okay.
Jim,
I mean,
you-
it's a good point. It's a good question.
Well, you make me think about just I've only seen one sports organization come in since I've been here looking forward to accessing the grant piece. And I'm thinking about when I coached basketball here in Poolesville, and we never thought about coming here to ask for anything. And we weren't under the PBA, but we had coached a Poolesville basketball team for years.
Right.
And we had in the game end of the year celebrations, parents chipped in and we did our thing. And then when my kid played baseball here, same thing. Or when my daughter played soccer for a number of years, we everybody just all the parents pitched in and we did our celebrations. We gave out the awards and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was interesting. So my thinking as we're sitting here talking, if all the teams came in and said we wanted, like, you remember there's you got the different age brackets as well, like with the soccer. Soccer's huge, and we think about the concern of space, and then the thing about the bathroom, and then you think about girls soccer, boys soccer, all the different age, the wrestling. There's quite a bit. And so how can you be equitable with all the other teams? Because if the other teams say, hey, wait a minute, the town will help foot the bill for this. Well, hey, I want my share too as a member of this. So it's just something to think about. And I don't want to pull the rug from underneath the swim team, but at the same time, I think of what does equity look like across the board to all the other teams and parents whose kids don't swim, but maybe that kid wrestles, maybe that kid does ballet, maybe that kid does something. And I do think there's a responsibility on those who participate, who as parents whose kids participate in sports, that we also look at if we want to have a reception, if we want to give out awards, that we work it out amongst ourselves for the funding.
How does I don't know, maybe it doesn't, fit in here at all, but Poolesville runs a summer camp, and most of the kids are from Poolesville, but they don't have to be. And I think there's a tiered rate depending on if they live in Barnesville or or 20837 versus another zip code. I don't know, maybe that's something we could factor into it in some way.
In what way? Because I think we did, first of all, I hope you're not opening up the can of worms of the summer camp and the fees and all that stuff again. I know you're not. I know you're not.
I know.
That's for next Saturday.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's for our work session. No,
That's the fireworks, yeah.
But I get what you're saying is that there's a tiered structure for, the who's out of town, who's in town, et cetera. Yeah, I'm not sure that will have something that, I like our format.
Yeah.
And it's a good format. I appreciate you putting it together and separating the tiers together. I mean, we can sit here and talk about like each one of the mini grants and how to limit and, who can get and who can't. But we've also got some structure here for some big money to be handed out as well and some created structure. And I think that's something further that we'll have to talk about on this. Again, Wade and Alice have seen a trend where there's less and less money there may be more and more applicants, but less and less money is being given out. We're not saying we want to go that direction, but the way the structure's set up and the way that we can go, again, the tiered two from the 25 to 50 is more of a capital amount that we're talking about. What I want to walk away from this meeting is that the structure is good. If you want to tweak the numbers, we can talk about that a little bit more. And then if there's, I would like to see an organizational component behind any grant structure. Because I can't think of any instance where an individual grant applicant has the need to use the town taxpayers' money to do something. They almost certainly have to have an organization behind them.
And so when I'm reading through it, and I highlighted public benefit, and so we really have to look at what is the interpretation of public benefit, because if I have an organization and it's only going to benefit the members who participate in my organization, how does that benefit the public? Whereas if I have something that's open to the public, like if I'm doing something and the public is welcome to participate and to attend, like I'm thinking of the Up County Prevention Network. And so if you're doing an event to look at drug awareness and that type of campaign, and you want to do something here on the Commons, but it's open to any teenager in Poolesville who wants to attend, I see that as a public benefit. But if I am Ed Reed's nonprofit and I have my members coming and they're the only ones that benefit, then I don't see that as a public benefit because it's a closed event. So we have to really look at how do we interpret public benefit.
And Jay and I had this conversation, and it is subjective on the commissioner's part. I mean, Jay, you can jump in here again if you'd like.
I mean, that's the struggle with all of that. I mean, we can always go with the clear ones, right? The black, the white. It's the gray that's the problem. The example that just not too long ago was, could a town make a donation to a private homeowners association to build a tot lot? So that has a public benefit, even though the whole public doesn't use the tot lot, members of the public do, and it's open to everybody in the public, but it's not really everyone's going to go to it. So you're going to have to make some determinations. I remember one of the grants we talked about was like the Boy Scout that wants the 2x4s to build the path. Well, if the path's open to everybody and anybody can use it, whether they choose to or not, well, that's public, but if it's a fee-based thing, or if it's somebody's backyard where Jim Brown wants to have a brewery and things like that, maybe that's not the case. So we are going to have to go with, step by step. I think what we do as we get along, where we're talk about this, is maybe we could come up with some criterias or even examples that you could say, hey, this has been held to be a public benefit, not a public benefit. The reality is unless it's, what's my favorite word, Martin? Arbitrary and capricious on your part, and you all determine it's a public benefit and can make a finding that does that, it's going to be deemed a public benefit.
Also, Sarah wanted me to ask a question, and it's apparently very noisy where she is, like doctors and everything. So she said, well, I don't know if it's a question or a statement. She would love to see town grants helping kids participate in local sports that wouldn't otherwise be able to afford the fees, not subsidizing wealthy families who can afford the fees. Does that make sense?
Yeah, as a person who's run a sports organization, I hear her loud and clear.
Yeah.
And, but my only statement to that would be is that hopefully the sports organizations within themselves have that ability to do that. And I can tell you this, that if we, running basketball, if we charged everybody $200 per kid to participate in say a seasonal activity, and we automatically knew that we were going to have a certain percentage of kids that could not afford to pay, we charged $225. And then those kids get they get it covered. So, and say in basketball camp, that I run every year, we don't charge anybody that can't afford to pay, and that's reflected in what we charge everybody else.
Yeah.
So, Sarah, appreciate the idea on it. I'm not sure that the town wants to get into the breaking down what kind of subsidies work, but I could say that it could be encouraged within every organization that they need to look at that, and they probably do.
Where you give out scholarships,
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah.
So what happens with the like the $50,000 max? Like, so for example, for Fair Access Committee, like, does that mean that if we adopt this, that they can't come in and ask for more than 50?
Well,
That's-
see,
Oh, go ahead.
go ahead.
I say the fair access is different because it is a public body that the town supports
recognized
and
committee.
has-
Right.
has adopted.
And same with like Poolesville Day and okay.
Yeah, I mean, Historic Medley is the only one that I know of that's not actually a town. We don't own them, we don't run them, but we do subsidize them. So that's probably one that is along those lines.
And the seniors too.
Yeah, gotcha. But they're a recognized town, I know they're their own 501c3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's quasi then,
They are, and that's why, well, they're not the grant program, they actually have a line item, both
right,
of them.
right.
More like a partnership.
So, and those are to be debated during our budget time.
Yep.
That's where those come into play. Okay, very good. And further discussion on this, guys? Ladies?
What do you want to come back with? You want me to work out some language for public benefit examples and criteria, just if I can narrow that down a little bit. Major grants. So,
Here's the questions you want to ask. I get it now. Keep going. You've let us talk about it. Tell us what you got.
Now this comes to mind, okay.
Yeah.
So, and Jay said something about escrow. I'm not sure how that would work, but if we did, I didn't put reimbursement for this 2,500 to 25,000, just because for some of the organizations I know, they don't have the upfront capital when they come in here to ask us anyways. So I got to figure out a way to break that down, or
And I'm just thinking, even just if we give group X, they ask for this, we give it to them, they don't go out and spend it. Let's say they decide they're going to go pay another bill. They didn't do what they said they were going to do. Making sure we have legal repercussion to go out and collect, do whatever we can to go out and recuperate the money that we had spent because they didn't do what they said they were
yeah,
going
and
to do. with
that
it.
lies the problem. Once you hand the check over, you
Yeah.
get some of that control right there.
And so it's almost like a contractual agreement. We're going to give you this money for this purpose. Now, if you don't use the money for the purpose that you asked for it, right, and then you spend the money on something else, and then I'm sorry, or oh, I made a mistake, that doesn't really set well.
No, not at all.
And so it has to be some means of being able to go, even if you got to go to court and get your money back. Right? How do we do that?
Well, we don't necessarily say, let's go to the max. Somebody wrote a check, somebody applied for a $25,000 grant. Again, it must be matched, what Wade's language, funding must be 20% matched through cash in kind donation and/or volunteer hours. That's probably a decently low bar. We don't want to make it too onerous, but at the same time, should we write into this potentially some sort of tiered funding mechanism where they have to do things, they have to meet thresholds and build those thresholds into their application?
Yes, if we're not going to have them spend their upfront capital and seek reimbursement, so I need to come up with something like that, in my mind.
So, does that answer your question, and to give it a chance to, that people cannot, well, obviously, we're just not going to write a check for 25 grand to somebody. And they have to be able to prove how they're going to use it up front, and then have it be distributed in some sort of tiered basis that makes sense.
And I know we have the part of being able to collect receipts, show receipts and so forth. I'm just thinking about in the rare occasion that someone decides to take the money and do something else with it. What do we have at what tools do we have at our disposal because I personally, to explain to to taxpayers, yeah, we funded the grant, they didn't use the money for what we funded it for, all right? There's a responsibility, because we funded it, that there's gonna be a public benefit where they took the money and ran and did something else with it, all right? What's the recourse? And it's not to decide, make that decision today, but it's something to think about. How do you go out and get, if someone didn't do what they said they were gonna do with the money that you've given them, how do you go back or pursue it legally? And that might be something for Jay to think about now and we'll talk about later.
It almost makes me want to lower the 25,000 down to 10,000 to decrease that liability and just put capital from 10 to 50 or something, to make the, to change that denomination values there. Also.
Yeah, no, that's a legitimate question. The 25 is a lot of money, and to have it be, you know, I think this isn't necessarily where you were headed with this, but I think you got us
Might
there.
go there.
Yeah. So that makes.
Because we're not a
some
bank,
sense.
we're not a lending institution.
Right.
Right.
Is it too much work to like, or does it get too complicated to say, like, you know, if you want to, like, for example, HMD wants a grant for $30,000, to say something like, okay, like, you know, if it's approved, we expect you to submit invoices.
So HMD already does
Pay
that.
the money to the company rather than to HMD, something like that. Is that?
Which is what they do. Sometimes they just turn invoices directly in from the contractor.
I mean, maybe in specific, we know HMD is good. They've been doing business with for a long time, so we can probably reasonably assume that they're good for the money. But to Ed's point, like if somebody comes in and, you know, we don't have any experience with them and, like, you know, no reason to trust or not trust them, you know, maybe we ask for an invoice and you know, we make the grant payment directly to the company that's doing the work, for example.
Right.
I'm just thinking out loud here. I don't know, maybe that wouldn't work.
No, there's probably.
No, that
Yeah, there's something to be said about that. Plus, that has to all be, that structure has to be included in their application.
Yeah. I mean, that would be a way that you know that they weren't going to bait and switch you, at least, you know, unless they were in with cahoots with the contractor or something.
So, all right, I'm
Something to
good for
think
now.
Jeff, nothing else from you on this? This is something I thought you'd like dig into a little deeper.
I'm good on this point, thank you.
Oh, wow, okay.
He's
well, very good
digesting
then.
it.
Thank you. Listen, just to go back to it, recommendations from the commissioners to town staff are going to be.
John,
John, go ahead, let's have it. I can summarize when you get done. Norm, thanks for coming tonight.
Oh,
You take care, huh?
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. John Wolves, 17009 Hill Street. So, listening a couple of meetings ago, I was here, and these people were asking for grants. It seemed like they're nonprofits, and they're not out to start a new business, and you know, they won't be charging people to use whatever facility that they want to build. So that was my only observation, was it seems like the grants that you're giving out are like for nonprofits. So I don't know if that's something you would put in.
So you're just saying, suggest that they all have to be
No, I'm
nonprofits,
just
or it has to
saying,
be
it seems like that's what's been coming in, at least this go around, except for one entity would be, you know, David and Sandy might be charging for what they want to do.
Right. Yeah, I think that, you know, part of our discussion on this too probably has to evolve around a little bit about this. You know, people throw around public-private, you know, partnerships. This isn't really that, but it would be interesting to kind of define that a little bit further.
That's all.
So that makes sense, John.
That was all I had.
Because that's a whole nother, that's like, you know, you look through our categories and the guys have come up with some really good stuff here, but it makes you wonder a little bit. I mean, you know, not that they're going to be a for-profit, but, you know, that is kind of a private entity that we would just be potentially writing a check to.
And another thought would be, you know, could anyone come in, well, I guess anyone could come in and ask, you know, I want to be starting a new business, and could the town give me like $10,000 to get started? I want to open up a brewery. Anyway.
Yeah, they could. They could. I could.
That's it.
All right, thanks for that, John, appreciate it. Yeah, you know, there's a lot to consider here, because we could eventually get, if the town is trying to work through some economic development situations, and it made sense to get a hotel put in town, because that's something we've heard about, that people can't come here and spend money because they've got nowhere to stay overnight. You know, we need to, that's a whole nother discussion beyond what the structure of this grant is, and we can take that up on another time.
And, the obvious reminder, like stating the obvious, if this isn't working for us, we can just change it. I mean, we can,
At any, yeah.
it can be discussed and voted on to change.
So let's get back to it again. What are we recommending to town staff? What are the recommendations or the discussion points? Mine are that we most likely, we don't have to, this isn't a decision we make when we do the budget, but that sports teams are essentially, not to be considered in this. Although I don't want to leave the swim team hanging.
With some kind of off-ramp.
Yeah, some sort of.
I mean, it would, like I've just said several times, we don't want to pull the rug out from under.
We don't, they've got plans, and we've already.
Grandfather them in or something.
Yeah.
When we've set a precedent already too, but I'm willing to remove that precedent as time
Yes,
goes on.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And then also too, that in mine is, I'd like to see some sort of organizational structure behind any of the grant applications. So individuals, and I'd like.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you think there's a downside to it, I want to hear it, but otherwise I like to have some sort of, and it can be a loosely designed organization, we understand that if it's a one or two person thing and they're trying to do a lemonade stand, then, they can have an LLC and we can use that, no, I'm just kidding, but.
And my contribution would be that you guys look into if there's a way, and this sounds very complicated, but if there's a way, if we don't know the organization well, there's a way we could say that, maybe we can give you your grant, but we want to make the payment directly to the contractor sort of thing. Like if that's feasible.
I'm sure we could, yes. But really, ultimately, if you don't feel comfortable with the person, we just don't give them any money.
Yeah.
But we gotta have justifiable reasons not to feel comfortable.
I think you have to have justifiable reasons to give it to them.
I agree with both of it.
But I'm not even saying.
No, but I'm with
saying
Martin,
that-
I see what he's saying.
I'm not even saying that we say, this person might be I'm just saying we don't know, we don't have a track record, and this is a big chunk of money that, wouldn't be something for the micro grants or whatever. But, it wouldn't be, obviously if we didn't trust them, we wouldn't entertain the grant idea. But if we have every reason to trust them, but we haven't dealt with them before, maybe it's appropriate to have an extra measure in there.
Well, you could just probably say, town staff, town of Poolesville reserves the right to pay a vendor directly.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that,
Yeah.
so.
I got it already, got the language.
All right, very good.
I
Yes, Sarah.
Hey, I just wanted to say that I actually really appreciate the broadness of the language because I think we don't know what could ever come up in the future. And I think giving ourselves some latitude, like you said, maybe we do want to give a starting off grant to someone starting a grocery store or whatever it is. I think as we give our recommendations to town staff, I want to suggest that we keep things more general and broad and just always leave it at the discretion of the commissioners. And we can, as long as we're comfortable sort of defending our decisions.
Yeah, no.
I don't think that we need to have everything, I don't want to box ourselves in.
I think the language is broad enough on this that we're not doing that, but yes, we have to be careful not to take it one step closer to that. So, I'm with you.
And then just keep safeguards. My concern is making sure we have adequate safeguards.
Well, we had all that, and we still ended up approving the swim team thing, and nothing against the swim team, but that was just, it was a bit of an eye-opener. We appreciate them coming in, and, it sounded like a legitimate request, and we didn't realize that we opened up Pandora's box, even though it really hasn't been Pandora's box yet, because they've been the only ones that applied, thank goodness. So, anyway, it's good discussion. This is why we had to hone this in a little bit, so. Sarah, you got anything else? Town staff, any other marching orders? Are you, that provides further clarification? Is there any desire for the commissioners to change those tiers? Again, we scared town staff when we started talking about 25 grand getting ripped off, so Wade was talking about bringing it down to 10. So I get that. We're all a little gun shy on that one, I get it. A little gun shy, so.
Maybe after you come back and you do that, then we can revisit that.
So that's good, since we have not hit that topic, everybody just keep it in mind that that's something, we breached another little high ground there, we can talk about that. You've got the rest of it that you need to do for right now, that's good for us, that'll carry us to the next go-round.
I mean, I'm okay with that, with the limits that is written there. And I just think when they get to be that much, we scrutinize it very carefully. You know, like I don't think we necessarily need to lower it, because what if a really great project comes along, you know, and we're bummed out. But I think we're just very, very careful. We do our homework, and you know.
No, and it was difficult to find the dividing line of enough money and what organization would have capital to be able to have reimbursements, and it was, you know, I was trying to put all those different pieces together.
But I'm with you, and I was behind you on the discussion on this, because if you start looking for that kind of money, you need to have an organization behind you. You need to have capital behind you. And I hate the whole idea of skin in the game, because everybody asks us as a municipality to put skin in the game. But at the same time, you know, this is a minimum requirement for skin in the game as far as I'm concerned. So it's good. I'm happy with it. Everybody else, we okay for now?
Yep.
Yes.
All right, very good. So, thanks for that, you guys. Thanks for putting that together. Thanks for listening. Appreciate it. Town manager's report.
Okay, so in front of you guys, I put a binder that has the FY25 draft budget in it. Sarah, we'll have yours at Town Hall if you can stop by, or we could even deliver it to you. Let me know what you want. And so our work session is March 16th, 9 a.m. Any questions you guys have as you start going through it, please feel free to reach out to me, and we can clarify anything. There's a lot of stuff in there, a lot of new stuff, and I've actually put together a nice outline, kind of just detailing some of the newer items and changes for the FY24 budget also.
So the usual drill, you want us to be prepared, and like, you know, if we have stuff for you, ask beforehand, not Saturday morning kind of thing.
Make it easier.
Got it.
Everybody.
Check her running.
Is your wife making scones again?
She actually, I've asked her about it, and she said that she will entertain the idea, which means she probably will.
Okay.
It's great, because they're the best.
They're good.
Do you have an expectation of how long the budget meeting will go on Saturday the 16th?
Typically, we're out of here by 11:30, 12
Oh,
at
okay,
the latest.
thanks.
Yeah.
Jeff, you may well be the deciding factor on that.
Well, let's shoot to be.
You may be the,
If you give your events report, it'll probably be sometime Sunday, but
That's right. And we appreciate that, but yes.
I have quite a few underlines on the comprehensive plan. My yellow marker, I had to go to CVS and buy a new one.
Oh, Lord help us. Well, that's okay.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, bring it up.
To talk about the comprehensive plan.
Yeah.
The Planning Commission is having their public hearing, getting public input on March 13th, and I've not received anything from any of the commissioners, so I'd like to sort of get some feedback.
Or send it to you in advance.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure, because what's going to happen is we're taking the public comment next time. The states is going to come in by the end of.
It'd be April
something,
5th.
April 5th. So at that point, the April meeting, we want to have all comments in, the commission, and the planning commission can then dive in and discuss the comments.
do you want to do a quick reminder for everyone of what's appropriate for comments and what's not?
Really, when we look at content, I mean, if you do see typos or sentences, don't rewrite them. I mean, just point them out to us, just the staff, and we'll take care of
I
that.
don't know if it's my page that got printed out, but there's about 10 zillion typos. I mean, 10 zillion is a few too many, but.
That's a lot for 1 minute.
8 million.
We can look at it. We can look at it. Just send us everything and we,
And you said March the 13th?
yep.
I don't have
public
that on my,
So, you guys, you can, as Martin said too, you can go to the public hearing and listen to what the public might have to say and contribute to it, and use that to help shape your thoughts to provide ahead of time. Go to the public hearing, see if there's anything that changes your mind.
But certainly from the commissioners, we want to see the bigger picture perspective comments.
Yeah.
Was something missed, is something need to be added to it, or is something just incorrect, for content specific, things.
Yeah, check out and appreciate that too. Check out the structure. We're the people that do the big picture thinking on this, and we had our technicians really put together something that's pretty amazing. And we know it's long and we know it's thorough, but heck, it's a 10-year document. And
It looks good. I mean, I read through it twice.
Yep, and it actually takes a couple readings to let it come together in your head that they've put together this document that certainly has a lot of information to it, but at the same time, you can do it. Our job as commissioners is we are the guardians of the 10-year. So look at it from that perspective. Let it sink in, give it a couple go rounds, and then give your feedback.
But just to clarify, we shouldn't be marking it up so much as like if we have a problem with economic development says 10 years, but we think it should be 5 years or something, just making something up, like more of a broad, like, direction. And in that case, we bring it back and we discuss it and vote on it, whether we want to send it back to the planning commission or not. But you can't go through and just like mark it up I mean, typos, sure, but beyond that.
I would hope not. But if there's some clarification that needs to be done, a lot of markups, use staff for that before we, take it back to the planning commission. Certainly.
There's a couple language pieces, I've already had my round one, and, but I'm going to have a round two where there's a couple of language pieces I'm going to want to float out there too, that help shape it just a little bit more, and again, provide that broad context. That it's tough, because I know you guys, you got knee deep in it for a year plus. So, and, for the most part, the changes I have beyond all the typos and, and I won't say all the typos, but all the, little things that we fixed. Niles, thank you for that. Is I just want to make sure that, if we want to tackle those things, that's something that we will talk about as a group to do it. I'm not going to sit there and rewrite a paragraph and send it in. And for the most part, it's great. Big document.
Okay. Next, we had our bid opening for the Westmont area water lines. We talked about, we have the $1.8 million for American Rescue Funds to spend on that. We had the Cohos area, then down Wooten Avenue, and right now, look at the bids are going to be over the money that we had in there. John's breaking them down, talking with contractors, make sure they understand the scope of the project. So probably at the next meeting, I think we're going to be looking at, taking a look at those contracts and possibly awarding them up to the amount that we have for the American Rescue Funds.
How many, I saw we had a whole room full of guys here. What was the deal? How many people?
I think there was like 8 bids that came in.
It's nice having a broad group of bidders.
And the amounts of the bids were pretty broad too.
Yeah, well, that's.
Is this again to remediate the I&I?
No, this is water distribution lines.
Oh, water distribution, okay, so clean water, yeah.
Just that the age of their span of life is coming to an end.
Yeah, wow, that's going to be a big deal.
Very big deal.
Yeah, every bit of those funds are going to get used on that.
And the latest water main break was where?
That was actually a air valve that got stuck open on a sewage pump mains.
Okay.
It was squirting sporadically. It wasn't like a big break or anything, but.
As one person on Facebook said, every time I flush my toilet, I have no idea, but you can't explain Facebook.
Well, it probably was really strange because when the pump station pumps would kick on.
Yeah.
Coming out.
Yeah.
The pumps would shut off and it'd go away.
Yeah, it's enough to make you not read Facebook. All right, go ahead. What else you got for us?
That's all I have. Any questions from me? Niles, do you have anything?
Just the website, the redesign of the website will be launched on Wednesday, so you will see that.
Website Wednesday.
Water tower?
We're getting close. I'll have an update meeting tomorrow, but we, it's looking like within the next few weeks.
It's a really nice color on there. You can see.
Yep.
What's available looks good.
Yes.
Yes, it does.
This is on the master plan schedule, like soon. It's
It's been there for a while now. I don't say anything anymore.
sometime in the next 2 to 25 weeks.
Oh, and then PFAS, where are we? Wells up. Where are we on the wells right now?
So with well number 2, I actually have a permit in to MDE to put filtration units on well number 2. We'll talk about it on the work session. We have funds being allocated to put in 2 more air or filters on well 2. Now, these are all exposed, and we have grants and loan applications to build enclosures around them, but the more important part is just to get these filters up and get the wells back online and running.
So is that to replace the medium that's in there?
We will, yes. This is for well 2. Well 3 already has a filter.
It's to create.
So we're putting brand new, new filtrations on well number 2.
How about the work down at the wastewater treatment plant?
Rolling, they're looking towards, midsummer to be completely out of there, so.
Okay.
Moving right along.
What's going to be the next big project down there after that? Everybody take a breather?
I think there will be for a minute.
Okay.
Lagoon is going to be the next big thing on our list.
And who falls into that? I know that's town engineer is going to start that, but when we really get into heavy discussion about the lagoons, how does that land up on our desk, or does it?
You know, it's probably, it's going to be agreements with MDE because it is going to be such a costly project to be able to get that sludge out of there and decommission that it's going to take state monies to do it. And so will there be agreements?
And you're talking about the main lagoon down by the wastewater treatment plant?
Right, and in its place, we'll probably put in like an equalization basin or something that's covered. Right now, when we get heavy rains and we end up processing rainwater, which is terrible
Yeah,
for the
not
bugs
good.
and everything, it's just void of any nutrients.
Yeah, expensive and wasteful.
Right, so it's time to start thinking in that direction, but it's
Big project.
millions and millions.
Millions, right, yeah, exactly. Well, that lagoon's been in place for how long now?
I think it was 92 or 93,
Yeah,
somewhere in there.
yep.
Is that overflow pond on its way out? Because I know there was some issue about the liner and the,
No, well, that's all taken care of, that's fine there. But it's just aging and it's
Yeah.
very, very old technology.
Yeah, technology's
More
gone
of
bye-bye.
it's more cumbersome for the operations of the plant now than it is beneficial.
Right, yeah, it's played itself out.
I have a non-wastewater question, and I think I know the answer to this. It's probably like a pipe dream, but when the Willards start building over here, it sounds like it's not going to be in the not too distant future. There's no way we could ask them to open the trail up before everything else is done, is there? I mean, this is going to be a construction zone probably, and they wouldn't do that, but
It may be difficult, but we have asked to try to get the Fisher Avenue stuff done and the trails done sooner. We've not seen, as soon as I guess they got to sell the property and get the developer in there first.
Yeah.
And they will actually talk about staging and what's going to be done first. So once we get to that point, we will reiterate that.
yeah, because that would be really helpful. Well, streetscape too, but especially that path. I mean, both of them would be very helpful.
That was I can't say we made a formal discussion about that, but it was an informal discussion about that as part of reducing their impact fee. We needed some, not a formal quid pro quo, but, I mean, I spoke to them directly about
I
it.
think we do have milestones in the PIA that
Yeah.
say they have to be Fisher Avenue and that stuff has to be done by the,
I think it's the 30th.
I think it was the 30th, yeah.
Excellent.
It's good.
That's great.
Yep.
Okay.
Anything else? Motion,
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second?
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Jeff, one of the